I don't know. Oops, loud, sorry. No.
He's getting Pat on the line now. But Walter, can you let Walter know Walter's getting him online? Okay, somebody switch my chair.
Welcome to AT&T's teleconference service. Please enter your access code was not recognized. Please re-enter your access code, followed by the pound sign. There are 3 participants on the call, including you. You are joining your conference as a participant. For a menu of available commands, press *#.
Hello, can you hear me? Those on the call?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's Patrick. Councilmember Kolstad, I recognize your voice. We're actually in the council chambers. We're opening up. I'm going to open up now the special council meeting at 11 o'clock, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. Roll call, City Clerk.
Councilmember Mahan, O'Neill, Davis, here. Watanabe, Kolstad,
Here.
and Mayor Gilmore.
Here. Is there a motion to excuse Councilmember Mahan? Is there a second? Pat, anyone? Second? All right. Motion dies for a lack of a second. Okay. Public comment. Is there any members of the public that would like to speak? Please come forward on any item in closed session. Yes, sir.
Thank you. The case management conference.
Well, let's make sure. Can you hear that, Councilmember Kolstad? Can you hear Mr. Carey? Pat, can you hear Mr. Carey, member of the public? Okay, go. Can we start over again, please, Mr. Carey, if you don't mind?
Okay.
Thank you.
My name, can we start the clock again, please?
Oh,
also?
yes, of course, we will.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
My name is David Carey. I'm a democracy educator and advocate. I attended yesterday's case management conference for this CVRA lawsuit that the city is involved with, as I've attended other earlier hearings about the case. I'll leave it to your counsel to brief you on what happened there, but I'd like to make a few points as you consider the case this morning. The first is that the issue before the court now is a remedy for the violation that the court has already found. And so just making proposals for something that maybe is legal and falls in the safe harbor is not really sufficient at this point. May have been 2 years ago, but not now. From my perspective, the two-district solution, particularly without ranked choice voting and using existing election code election methods, would not serve as a credible remedy at this point, absent any special evidence that's specific to Santa Clara. The other thing I'd point out is that the court is making a really significant change in how it's preparing for the remedy phase of the trial. And that is in part, I think a recognition that getting public input about how to draw 6 or 7 districts is something the court has recognized as a very important part, partly because that's something that only the public can provide some of the input that's needed to do that, particularly identifying communities of interest. And the court's interest in pursuing that is a reflection, if not that multiple districts are the likely remedy, but that it's something that is at least a possibility the court wants to be well prepared for. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else? Please come forward on any item in closed session. Good morning.
Morning. Hello, I'm Kevin Park. And I also went to the CMC yesterday, took a look at what the city had to say and what the other side had to offer. And I do agree with Mr. Carey that a 2-district solution will not work in Santa Clara. Again, the problems I had with Measure A had nothing to do with the ranked choice voting. I think that's the story that the city's trying to make, that the ranked choice voting is what the voters did not want. The problem is we put 2 things on the ballot, and without testing each one in isolation, it's very difficult to tell which one people disagreed with. But I'm telling you right now, the people that I know, and myself included, we disagreed with the 2 districts and the breakup of the districts, as I made very clear in previous city council meetings. The other thing I'd like to point out is that although racial diversity is the point that a lot of people are bringing up, this trial is really about corruption in city court and city council, right? And that thing leads to what we call racial disparity. The problem is, it's not the ethnic makeup of this council that I complain about, it is the lack of thought disparity. It's the lack of cognitive friction which gets the best ideas through. I'm gonna give you an example. If somebody says, I like vanilla and everyone disagrees, and everyone agrees, we'll never try all of the other 31 flavors at the local ice cream store. And this is the kind of thinking that is keeping our city, like, provincially in a ditch. These are the problems that I see. The last city council meeting was kind of indicative of this. And now that the appointments are over, and now that the elections, the primary elections are over, I intend to be much more involved in this process. Last comment I'd like to make is, we had lots of comments about the ranked choice voting structure of the appointments, and that was not ranked choice voting. I think at some point, we need to get better at our processes so we give the public the best impression we can give. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so any other member? No, oh, you're not a member. Yeah. Staff here. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3 items in closed session, so we are now going to adjourn to closed session. Thank you.
Maybe we should just terminate it and restart it.